That's it.
At least he has his good looks, man.
1-1 is good looking too.
He is not Song Joong-ki.
Okay, no, he's not.
Aerial view, side view, solo close up, other solo close up.
They stand there for 5 minutes.
Close up.
Welcome to this episode of Two Beans and a Screen. This is the podcast where we talk about everything K-dramas. This week we are talking about Reborn Rich episode 7. We are almost halfway through the episode list at this point, and things are heating up. I am your host, CB, and I'm joined by my co-host.
I am Qomi. Do we really need to keep saying our names at this point? It's episode 6, 7 now.
You know what? It's got to be somebody's first episode. You know what I mean? It's got to be. So
okay,
every
but
time.
Who clicks on episode 6 before episode 1?
You know what? Maybe they're caught up and they just want to know the latest impressions on the latest twist. I do that.
Okay, well, I'm Qomi. Hi.
And we are here to talk about and share our impressions and break it down. We basically do analysis of every episode that we watch and we get into the thick of it. Our episodes are usually like an hour long, so strap in. We're talking about everything that happened this episode. And Qomi, let's start with overall impressions. What did you think of this episode?
It is definitely ramping up. I feel like we always ask for more and they're actually giving it to us. Like, we want more of an appearance and we get that the next episode. We want answers to this question and they answered in the next episode. So I feel like we're getting pretty lucky, or we're just, we are asking the right things.
Yeah, every time we come away with a list of things of like, oh, I wish we had more of that this episode. And they are giving us what we want. But they're not doing it in the cliche way of like, okay, we're going to give them the kiss this episode. We're going to give them the fight this episode. No, it's like they understand the things that they have set up well enough to continue down that path. So specifically last episode, let's dig into a little bit of it. We were like, okay, we want to see more of the mayor, 3 Alpha. We want to see more of him. And we got him. We want to see the showdown between the chairman and Jin Do-jun. We got it. We wanted to see more of 4 family. You know, we saw 4 Alpha. We saw 4-0. We got even more of the brother.
4-1.
4-1, that's right. So we got lots of stuff. So, Qomi, let's start with obviously the big moment that ended off last episode. We're doing the very beginning of the episode. The chairman finally finds out that Jin Do-jun is Miracle Investments' majority shareholder. This is the big confrontation. Did this go down the way you thought it would?
I thought it'd be more intense, actually. Like, it was a little bit. It was kind of like, you were trying to mess with me. Like, did you forget that I will cut anyone, even if you're my family? You think just because you're my grandson, like, you'll get away with this or something like that? I honestly thought, like, what Jin Do-jun was gonna say would have, like, he would have, like, a stronger rebuttal, but he basically just kind of said, like, oh yeah, I haven't even started negotiating yet, or whatever. I just thought his end of the deal was more anticlimactic than I thought. Like, I thought it would be more of, like, a punch you in the face type of thing, but it was pretty logical, I guess. It's like, yeah, like, first you find out that there are people from Soon-young in that little real estate scandal thing going on. And if you leak that your youngest grandson is the one that is going against, or is the one that has been backing up the mayor, what's it going to look like to you? Like, how's it going to look to the public? And I'm like, yeah, that's true, I guess. It was kind of like a, yeah, you're right. Okay, you got me there type of thing.
You got me there. Yeah. No, for me, this is actually more than I was expecting. I thought with it being episode 7 only, when we found this out, the chairman was going to be surprised and then basically either walk out or downplay it. No, he took it as what it was, which is a declaration of war. They say it later in the episode. He came in, and when he blew up at him, that was the most angry I feel like we've seen him. He was angry at that one moment where he yelled, and I was like, oh, he's laying into Dojun. And so that I was happy about. I agree that maybe Jin Do-jun didn't have a plan coming in as much as maybe he thought he did, but at the same time, this sets up a whole bunch, and I think this is kind of what the next chunk of the series is going to be about. It's going to be the showdown between, maybe not those two individuals, but the actual showdown between 1-1 and Jin Do-jun, because 1-1, after this meeting, of course, and we'll get to this, but he is picked basically by the chairman to make this happen on his behalf. With this declaration of war, the chairman basically blows him off at first. He's like, what do you think you're doing? And I have a couple quotes here that I want to run by you, because he asks him, he's like, you told me that you had no interest. Why would you pretend that you had no interest in buying the company? And he's like, you think that you can take this over even though I've already stated that this is going to go to my eldest grandson? And he's like, no, I'd like to buy Sun Young with my own money.
Yeah.
That's a powerful statement. Like, basically being like, I don't need you to hand it to me. I'm going to take it by force. But then the other quote that I want your thoughts on, because the chairman comes back at him and he says, do you think you can buy Sun Young with your own money? Because try it then, and you will pay a lot for it. What did you think of that?
Definitely not just monetary value. He's basically kind of threatening him, like, you will pay for it with your life, basically. Like, you will not get it so easily as you think you would. You think you will solely get Sun Young just with the money? Like, you're stupid. Like, you're not gonna get it so easily, not with just money type of thing. And, his right-hand man, Mr. Lee, also mentions a good point where he said that 1-1 picks up on his hidden words and meanings really easily.
Yes.
I feel like Jin Do-jun equally as capable of, like, understanding exactly what he means, because he understands the chairman. He studied him and everything, right? So he definitely knows that it's going to be a bloody fight. It's not just about money.
And I think, so something that came up in past episodes that we talked about pretty extensively was this idea of, can the future be changed? And this episode, to me, is a reset. Once again, I think aside from Jin Do-jun's old family with his father still having a job, everything is back to square one. I think it's exactly the future that we thought it was going to be. And we'll get into specifics of why, but just dealing with the chairman and 1-1, you're absolutely right. 1-1 is very good at picking up on what his grandfather wants to hear in a moment. He's very, very good at reading him. What he's not so good at is actually pulling it off. He's not as business savvy or as intelligent, maybe, as Jin Do-jun, who is actually able to deliver on all of those promises. So I think that's where part of his superpower is knowing the future. But innately, he's a very smart guy. He probably would have gone to law school had it not been for his family's financial troubles in his old life.
For sure. Yeah.
And so the fact that he's able to, like, everybody keeps pointing out, oh, you're chairman's son or grandson. And it's like, well, yeah, but he has that rare opportunity. He's basically living proof that if somebody is given the opportunities that they did not have in a life without money, he's just making the most of it. He's not like his brother. He's not like his cousin. He is not just coasting by in life, living off of his family's success. He is the living embodiment of, if I was given a chance, I would own the world with it. Yes. And that's the difference to me between 1-1 and Jin Do-jun.
Don't you think it's, like, inspiring, but also very, like,
deflating? Yes.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, yeah, if I could just get $1 million at the age of that, would I be able to make anything from it? I'd like to think yes, but also it's just never going to happen.
Yeah. It's really depressing.
Well, let's not linger on that too long. On that note, the reason Mr. Lee is talking about One's ability to read his grandfather was because he was bringing up the fact, do you really think your son is the right person to succeed you? Should you really be going with the eldest son? Because you've always talked about how you want somebody who is a reflection of you. And it's clear he was hinting at Jin Do-jun. It's clear he was getting at that. And the only reason he even talks about 1-1 is because the chairman asks him, what do you think of him? And he's finding the right words. What did you think of that scenario?
I feel like even the chairman knows that Jin Do-jun is the better fit, but it's just like whatever grudge he's holding on to about like the succession has to go to the eldest. But like what he said is true as well. It kind of does have to go in that way because they will fight. He said my children will fight over this. There's going to be so much blood spilled over this. Like how else can I decide the succession type of thing? Like he kind of does have to give it to the oldest. But at the same time, I don't know, like I feel like why can't he just accept Jin Do-jun? But at the same time, I understand he is his father's son, like his 4-0's son. He can't give him any power because he cut that family off, right?
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, there's that part in the show where he said, what kind of father am I to let my son go to prison in my place? Do you think that they're talking about 1-1, right? Because of the knee thing?
It's a 1-0.
The numbers are messing me up.
I know. I think so, but I actually don't know. I was very confused in that moment because he says it dramatically while looking out a window. And it was this gorgeous shot. I think, to me, this was the best shot episode. It was consistent in its look. There were several shots where I went, oh my God, that's gorgeous. And that was one of those looks. Yeah, sorry.
Yes, some of them. Some of them not really.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, no, I found this one to be generally to be the most consistent. And I really, really liked how this episode shot. But anyways, he's looking out the window and he's talking about how he is a failure as a father, essentially.
Yes.
And how he regrets a lot of stuff. And he talks about how his son was injured because of him and he ended up going to prison because of him. In his stead is, I believe, how he phrases it, meaning that he took the fall for him.
Yes.
I feel like it has to be 1-0 in that case because we just saw him kneeling on the ground, like clutching his leg, and that's probably why he felt bad. Because there's again a double standard. He's
always these double standards.
He's willing to yell at anyone except for his sons. His first 2 sons, he is unwilling to hold to their word.
Yeah. Like I wonder what 2-0 has on him.
Yeah, because if it's not, I thought it was like the familial thing, right? Like, 1-0 and 2-0, he can't scold them because they're his sons. No, it's like he has guilt. There's guilt there.
Yeah, I don't know. I need to know more because I can't accept the fact that he just loves his sons and that's why he will let them get away with anything.
Yeah.
Like the way he treats 4-0, and we see that later on in the episode as well, which I'm so happy we're getting to see them more. I don't know, man. Like he's just so like hot and cold. I'm getting whiplash.
Yep. But I feel like that's accurate. I know people who are kind of like that. 1 minute they're one way and another minute they're another way. And I feel like it's very realistic. And yet he's consistent in a way. He never treats... I don't know. Like it's emotional whiplash. Like it is that abusive kind of behavior where you never know what you're going to get from him, but you always go in expecting the worst. I guess that's how I see it. Even when he's happy, I feel like he's ready to flip his switch at any second. And I know, right? I know people like that.
When he was like smiling at 1-1 as he was leaving their room, he was continuing to smile. I was like,
"Yep,
yo,
where is it gonna go?
Scream or something, right?
Yeah,
he's gonna yell. What is gonna happen?"
It was so uncomfortable, and you're like, I think he's happy with him, but I feel like he's just like waiting for it to go into a frown and be like, "No, I'm just waiting for this guy to mess up."
Yes, right?
Because we know it will. So let's talk talking about the future again, right? So we know that 1-1 feels very negative towards his grandfather in some ways, or at least that
Yes.
he thought the chairman felt poorly towards him. He didn't think that he was a good businessman. I
Yeah.
feel like this could be the confrontation that creates that. Because right now, I feel like the chairman really believes in him. He thinks that he is his successor.
Yeah, I think this is where we see his downfall. Like this is like
Oh, it's gonna
where
be so uncomfortable.
I don't I even wrote this somewhere too where like I'm pretty sure like I wrote 1-1 useless LOL. Like
That's
I
exactly
think
it.
yeah, I think he is setting him up so high just to fall
Yep.
down and everything's gonna crash and I'm just waiting for it to happen. Because what his father said, what 1-0 said,
Yeah.
he can always forgive me, but he can never like he won't be the same with you.
Yep. Yep.
So he'll always take the fall for him because he knows that his like yeah, it's like he has something on his dad basically. Like he has something on the chairman. There's some reason why he won't ever get mad at him for all the like f ups he does.
It's like a
and
life
everything.
debt, right? Like he talks about
Yeah.
how death for him is his time to go on to the not so nice afterlife, right? But for his family, they shouldn't have to pay that price.
For his
And
kids.
for his kids. But it's
Yeah.
because I think for him, his two sons have already paid that price. They have given a life debt. And so I don't know. I feel like anybody else, they would not get away with it. Now knowing that his son has taken the fall for him, he has like a life debt to them where he will let them get away with almost anything.
Yeah. So I don't know. After what 1-0 said that to 1-1, I'm like, you're setting him up for some sort of failure because
Totally.
he is going to come crashing down, and I'm excited to see it.
I'm so nervous. Even with somebody who is doing bad things, I don't want to see that moment. I'm not 1-1's biggest fan. I don't want to see him crash and burn at the same time. I want him to. I don't know. I have mixed feelings, okay?
I want to see him crash and burn. I want everything to go bad for him. I want chaos.
Oh my goodness. All right. We have a lot to cover this episode, so we're going to move on to our next section, which is talking about 1-1, but also his former wife, because there were a lot of developments with them this episode. I want to start with the line at the end of their first meeting. They are on a date. Well, no, I should say they were at a meeting. They were meeting at a
Yes.
cafe. It's right at the beginning of the
Yes.
episode, and it's kind of splitting up the conversation of the chairman and 1-1. These two conversations are happening simultaneously, and she essentially says, "You are not suitable for this position," meaning that he's not going to be the one to carry her to the top of Soon Young.
Yes.
But the line that she leaves him with, and then his comeback. So he says, "You reject me and then say you'll see me again. You're interesting to the very end."
Yes. I wrote the same stuff down.
For us as the audience, we know what this means. We're like, why? He's like, "Why would I see you again? Why would I need to think about smiling?" Obviously, this is because she's gonna go and flirt with Jin Do Jun.
Yeah.
What did you think of this?
Yeah, so she was totally planning to be his cousin-in-law or whatever the phrase it is, the terms, but she was totally being like, "I'm gonna marry your cousin and you're gonna see me all the time, so therefore we must end in on good terms because we're gonna be seeing each other a lot." But to him, he's just like, "Huh, what do you mean? Yeah, I'll smile for you," or whatever. Like,
And I'll continue sending you flowers and cards and
yo, man. The line of flowers on the windowsill, I was like, dude, you are so cringe.
Wait, hold on. We need to talk about his flirting technique for a second because what is it? What is his flirting?
I have no words, man. Like this girl has no interest in you, yet and she even rejects you and you send
Yeah.
her flowers consistently, I would be like, yo, leave me alone. Like, that's. I don't understand. Like, I mean, I guess it worked, right? Like, I don't know. I mean, obviously, what he did not work. She only went back to him because he is the definition of a puppet to her.
Yeah, that's it. Okay, skip ahead to when she actually does meet Jin Do-jun. We will not talk about the context of that conversation yet, but he calls her out for that. He's like, look, if I make this deal with you, I will become your puppet. I'm not doing what I'm doing just to fulfill your family's wishes and become your puppet. One hasn't even thought about that yet. He's just like, girl like me? She pretty? Okay. Like, he's not thinking ahead. This is why he's an idiot. He might be able to read his grandfather well. There's no way he is thinking straight with this woman.
I don't even think he reads his grandfather well. It's just like he plays a very good grandson. He just knows that his grandfather wants a successor, and he just has to like play that role. So like he kind of like that's all he knows really, just to be like the good grandson, so dutiful, and like one day I'll take over for you type of thing.
Yeah,
like,
no, I think that's accurate. I think that's totally accurate.
But with the girl, he's just so like I still don't buy the fact that he actually likes her from his acting. It's just the words coming out of his mouth. And it is so cringe. I don't know.
This association with this, like, he's a very handsome individual. He's very good looking. And so this really good looking man just completely bungling every interaction with her because he can't flirt. Like, he has no ability to keep up with her in terms of conversation.
Dude, she's so good at acting so like sly,
Superior.
so mysterious. Yeah, superior. Like, she's just so...
She knows what she wants in a situation. That's why she's so at a loss with Jin Do-jun, who not only can keep up with her in terms of where she's at in a conversation, he's one step ahead because he calls out exactly what she wants. He knows that she wants something out of a conversation, and he's able to pinpoint what that is and then say no. It's not even like he has to be a step ahead. He just has to keep up and shut it down at the source. Mm-hmm. What I want to know in terms of Jin Do-jun, did he just make a very powerful enemy?
I can see it going that way, where she does not take no for an answer, and kind of like the grandfather, yo, you do not comply with me, I will cut you down type of thing. Mm-hmm. But I feel she's also so infatuated by him, and like I can see that she probably genuinely is intrigued by him, just like how one is intrigued by her.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I feel like she could let it slide.
Do you think she's marrying into the family just so she can still be kind of associated with him? She's like, he's still my ticket to the top as long as I stay in good graces.
I don't know I think she has to let that bridge burn. Like, I don't think he'll ever after that she will not try to attempt to take his hand in marriage again.
Sure. No, I don't think marriage, but like, do you think she can still see that as, if I stay close to him, he will still carry me to the top by proxy, even if I'm married to his cousin?
I don't know if she would think that far, actually. I think her main goal is just to get into the Soon Young family, and it's like what he said, what Jin Do-jun said, you just want to be the good granddaughter-in-law of Soon Young and kind of like have your strings to pull.
Right.
She can totally get whatever she wants from 1-1, but it's just kind of like she sees him as an idiot, and Jin Do-jun like as an equal almost. Like, she obviously like she sees herself a little bit higher than him, but I think after that interaction she sees that like the playing field is pretty even, and she would have loved to have him as a partner in life or whatever, but she has to settle for 1-1. And even though she does have to take a step down, she pretty much can get whatever she wants from him as well, because he is the oldest grandson. But to her, she's like, I don't care if you're the oldest grandson. Like, you don't suit me. But
And
sadly, like, that's all she can get.
if you think back to the very first episode, right? If you remember, she's the one who pushes for her husband to be put forward as the person to speak when his father is in the hospital. And she, honestly, I'm still not sure whether she meant it or not. When the rest of the family is like, if he doesn't show up, we're going to look like idiots. Why would you have put him forward? And she's like, if he doesn't show up, one of you gets to step in. And they're like, oh, right, right. And I'm not sure in that moment if she genuinely didn't want him to show up because she was so done with him, or if she wanted him to show up because that's still her ticket to being the most powerful person in the family. And in this case, I'm way more worried about her for Jin Do-jun than I am about 1-1. 1-1 is unhinged. He is dangerous because of that. He's not smart. Now that he has her as a team, they could be the ones who make him disappear, because that's what this is all building to. This is the reset episode. As I said before, so much of this has undone what we thought was diverging off into another path. Now they are getting married again. She's not going after Jin Do-jun anymore. She is once again aligned. This episode means that we are back on the path of, okay, unfortunately, his former mother passed away still. It was different, but it was the same. In his new life, all of the events are happening as they should be, which means eventually something is going to happen to him. And we just don't know what. He has to disappear. His mother has to know where he is. This is jumping a little further in, but just while we're on this topic, I want to talk about the fourth family, his family. Jin Do-jun, 4-0, 4-alpha, and 4-1. Because there is a line that the mother says that makes me wish that he would walk away right now. Knowing that something probably happens to him in the future, this line hit me like a ton of bricks, probably more than anything else in the episode. It made me emotional in a way that I did not expect, because what she said had so much weight behind it, knowing what happens. So the line that she said, let me just make sure that I get it exactly right here. Sorry, finding it. This is what she says. So she makes them promise that Jin Do-jun will never become like his family. And their father's
side of the family.
Yes, the father's side of the family. And that the father will protect him. Yes. And that's not a quote, but it's what she was saying. Because getting involved, their family is now involved with Seo Min Young. They never wanted to be. 4-0 did not want to be involved. That's why he went and got into the entertainment industry. Sure, he's still a CEO, but he's not involved with his family. He does not want to be. He was cast out. His wife also does not want to be involved with them. She said when Jin Do-jun was very young, like, you know what? It was very difficult for me. I do my best now, but we just do what we can. And when Jin Do-jun went out and started getting himself involved with the family, it pulled them in against their will. His father did not want to be involved. And so they are going to pay a very heavy price as a family for his selfishness, for his revenge. In the last episode, I was so happy to see him go on this revenge plot because of his former mother. Well, that's still his mother, but you know what I'm saying. I was so happy to see him because they are the reason that she was suffering the way that she was. But now he's about to destroy more lives. She's gone already. There's nothing you can do. He could protect these people, and instead he's dragging them into an all-out war. Did you feel the same way?
Yeah, I think after he finally accepted the fact that, like in the beginning of the episode, or close to the beginning, he mentions that there's basically like nothing he can do now with his old family. He has basically, like he said, Seo Young has basically cut him off from his family. He can never be in touch with them ever again. Closer to the end of the episode, he looks at the picture of that day where he found himself in the new body. He says 4-0 and 4-alpha, this is my father and my mother. I think it felt like he is almost accepting them now. Like he has accepted fate reality, whatever it is, that like this will be his family. And yeah, when his dad basically said, hey, your grandfather came and talked to me, he gave us the medical center and HR development shares, stocks, whatever it was, this is a warning. And Jin Do Jun sees that he kind of messed up, that like this is not really how he wanted it. This wasn't what he was planning. But then his dad was like, I think I can buy like a channel and like we can have it built in the DMC, like whatever I can do to help type of thing. And he was so shocked as well. He was like, wait, what? And the mom comes in like, wait, you're helping him? And then she kind of makes them do the same promise that you just mentioned. I think you're right that something is going to happen to the family. It's not gonna be so happy. But I guess like in that moment, I was just like, the contrast between this family and the Sun Young family, how the dad had his back so fast versus the grandfather cutting him off because he married someone he did not approve of and went into the film industry instead of the Sun Young business. You can see like how hard he cut him off too. Like he still hates his guts. Like when he sees him at his firm, he's so angry.
Yeah.
So it was just so refreshing seeing that contrast of like, this is what a family's supposed to be like. It's not supposed to be such a political game. So I was really happy seeing their interactions together, but I did have a similar thought with you that this is not going to end well for them, probably. Like, they are fighting the biggest business group in South Korea.
Pretty much single-handedly. Between them and Mr. O, that little team is facing off against what is the real-world equivalent of Samsung, who owns a large portion of the country. I mean, we see it in that with a mere threat plus some small donations to education, Sun Young was able to get every television network in the country to back out of supporting Miracle's investments. That's crazy.
Yep.
That is a wild amount of power to wield.
Yep.
And without a second thought, I mean, obviously he probably thought about it a lot, but he was so quick to back his son, the father, 4-0, never wanted to be involved. And you know I'm weak to this. I am not good with acts of kindness. For some reason, my broken brain is like, I will not tear up at sad scenes in movies, but if somebody is kind, my heart breaks. I'm like, I am weak to that. All my favorite characters in every show, movie, A Silent Voice, Shoko, yeah, let's not talk about it. Like, doesn't matter what it is.
Yo, Silent Voice wasn't even sad, man. But anyways.
Not sad, but that's the thing. It's not sad, and it broke me as a human being because of that. Like, I saw myself in these characters, and then when they finally get acts of kindness, I'm like, I can't handle this. I don't know how to do this. Someone gives me a cupcake. I'm like, I don't know what to do with this information. Why is somebody being nice to me? And so the mom, when she treats him the way she does when he first meets her, I was like, oh no. She's acting vulnerable towards him in a way that I cannot see her be in pain now. And then the father in this episode does the exact same thing where I'm like, why would he do this? He gets nothing out of this. This is an act of complete selflessness. Not only is he putting his company at jeopardy that he has spent so long trying to just build off the ground and get independence, he's now wading back into the one thing that he did not want to do. All for his son. That is a complete act of selflessness, and I'm not okay with it because Jin Do Jun is throwing their lives away so that he can get his revenge. But I get it, and I'm excited for where it will go because this is so high stakes in a way that I did not expect. I was ready for like the war of espionage and business and this awful family infighting. I was not ready for them to throw their hat into the ring too and get involved.
Yeah, but I think it was already hinted that he was going to back him up no matter what, because when his father was when the chairman was leaving the film company,
yeah,
he 4-0 basically shouts, I don't want to end up being a father like you.
Which is such a good line because it is so accurate. He is the exact opposite of his father, which is why he didn't want to be a part of the business. That's where I guess I'm surprised as well. Every family, there's gonna, well, maybe not every family, but out of everybody in the world, not everybody wants to be a leader. Not everybody wants to run the company. I would consider myself to be one of those people. I do not want to run things. I am more happy
Yes.
being someone on the sidelines. It's not because I don't want to take responsibility. It's just I do better when I'm in a support position. So even if I came from a conglomerate family, I wouldn't want to be the CEO. I wouldn't want to be the one with all the power. I would want to be supporting that. And when we see this family, there's so much infighting because it's not only the husbands, it's the in-laws and the every member of the family except for 4-0.
Yeah.
1-0, 2-0, 3-0, 1 alpha, 2 alpha, 3 alpha, all want to be involved in a big way in the power play in South Korea. And Young, he was the only member who did not want to. And so it's fascinating to me that everyone else is vying for this power, and they would be so surprised that Jin Do-jun also would not want that power. It's like, no, that should be normal. But I guess it's that perspective, right? It's because they want power. They can't understand how somebody else wouldn't also want that.
Yeah, it's exactly what he said to the chairman as well when he gave him the shares to the companies or whatever. He's like, you really don't know your son at all. He's like,
Yeah.
I could care less about these shares. But to the chairman, he's like, what do you mean? Like, people want shares, people want power and money. That's what you guys want. That's why you guys are messing with me. And he's like, no, it's not. I don't understand why you're giving. I mean, he understands why he's giving him because his
Yeah.
father doesn't understand him.
It's a threat. It's a warning. He understands why he's doing it, but
Yeah.
not the other way around.
Yeah, like the chairman absolutely does not understand like that side of the world where they don't want power or money or like they're just content with life. Like
It's the
Yeah.
difference in personality where
yes.
you have the logical driven, business oriented people who will put money before people. And then you have the empathy driven, blue personalities of the world who want to make change, want to create art, who want to make a difference through actions. It's you need both. The weird thing is we would not survive if we only had the empathy driven people. You need those
Yes.
people who are going to drive innovation, who are going to drive business, who are going to create jobs. And you have to have the other people who are going to balance them out and say, this is not right. We can't do this. It has to be a balance of both. But in this family,
Yes.
it is very imbalanced. You only have one, and he was cast out. So Jin Do-jun getting involved is very interesting because he's a balance of both. We see him in his old life. He is smart. He is logical. He understands business, but he's also empathy driven. He's been through pain. He helps his family. I think he loves his new family now. And that, as you said, I think we've seen him accept that more now. And he wants to do what's right for them as well. But them backing him, I think, has given him the go-ahead, the full go-ahead to do whatever it's going to take. And that I think that means we're in the thick of it. This is truly like this series is no longer in build mode. We are in the war.
Yeah, I think with any K drama, it's always a little bit of a climb to get to where we are right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not really one to just drop a show unless it's like actually terrible. But I don't know,
Agreed.
man. I've watched terrible shows to the very end before as well.
yeah, of course.
I don't know, like I have so far been enjoying this progression, but I'm also really enjoying where we are right now where we know more about the people in this story. But surprisingly, what happened to the granddaughters? Where are they? Why don't we ever see them? They were just like they were pretty old too in the old life, you remember? Like
There were granddaughters?
yeah. Hey, remember the slush fund? And after he fired the manager or whatever about it, he goes to eat sushi. That's his cousin. And then they open the door, and then the manager's behind them, and like that's when you know like everything's going down. And she said she wants something out of him.
I thought that was one of the in-laws. That's a cousin?
I'm pretty sure that's my cousin because in the very first episode when he was described like saying who's who,
Yeah.
101 alpha. For 2O and 2 alpha, there was a 2-1, their daughter.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, where have they been?
They have never been in the family dinners. They're not really around either. Like, am I tripping? Like, did they just cut these characters out and no one remembers?
You've actually thrown me for a loop because you're right. That's a huge plot point, especially because we now know that 1-1 is going to be facing down with one of them at some point. That has to come back around. They would not have included that if that's not going to come back around, because that was a betrayal. She brought back this manager to be like, I know all your dirty little secrets.
Yeah.
What? Where is this person? Qomi, you broke my brain. You broke my brain. With that being said, we are on this topic of succession and all of this other stuff, 4-0, what's going to happen. But there's somebody that we haven't talked about this episode that we need to, because he closely ties into how all of this is playing out. And he is an in-law, being
one of my favorites so far.
3 alpha. Yes. The mayor himself. He is now officially the mayor. Qomi, I'm going to toss this into your corner because you like this character so much.
I don't like him so much, but he is fun.
He's a fun character. I guess that's what I'm getting at. It's you were kind of the one who kind of called out his progression, and it's so true. He went from bumbling fool who, and I mean, he still does it.
You see it all in this episode.
You see
all
him
sides of him
standing over the table, cutting her steak, and then the very same conversation, wanting her to hold her own purse because he has a reputation to uphold, like an image. It's so bizarre, but that's what makes him so interesting. So, tossing it to you. What is going on with him? Because 1 minute he's on top of the world. He thinks that he could be the next president because of Dojun. And then the next minute he's a bumbling fool again who can't even keep his hands from shaking. What's going on with our favorite mayor?
So yeah, there was a lot of drama with him after he secures a mayor position. There's the new Seoul Town developments and everything, and how Soo Young was ready to be like, yo, he is corrupt, get him out of office immediately. After Jin Do-jun saves him again, he kind of starts planting little seeds like, oh, don't worry about the development right now because I know you're really stressed, but just think about the future. Think about presidency. You could be Mr. President one day. You see him building him up, which I think is also a little sad, knowing that like he's kind of using his uncle, and you see how touched he is by him, by all the words he's ever said to him. You can see how moved and how much he appreciates someone lifting him up. But then on the side, we see him talking to Mr. O and be like, yeah, we just need him to finish his development type of thing, which is a little heartbreaking. And then you see 1-1 talking to him. He's kind of a little bit respectful at first, and then you see him take his seat, the mayor's seat in his office, and basically saying like, you think you have your life in control? Well, it's I and Soo Young that control your life. Just go back to how things were, and if you ever need power or help, just ask Soo Young like you always have, type of thing. And you can see that instantly crushes him. He goes back to his nervous like shivers, and you can see how scared he really is again, like how he usually is around his with the chairman. Just you saw every side of him in this episode where he was cutting meat for his wife. How you can see his confidence in the press conferences when he's addressing the public. He is such a different person when he is up there on stage, and then when he's with these solo interactions with people, they really bring out all these different sides of him. And I don't know, I think he's just like a fun character to watch. But do you think he'll really become president one day?
Do I think he'll become president is an interesting question, because with this being a K-drama, I think it's very possible. I think if they're trying to give him, knowing that he's kind of a character who's been pushed down, beaten down, if they're trying to give him a happy ending, he will become president and he will become independent. With that being said, I think we saw a not so great side of him this episode as well. When he's talking to 1-1, at first, he's actually kind of high off of his own power. He's so confident in that moment. He's like throwing his arm around 1-1. He's pretending like, oh, they've always been chummy. And he's so quick to throw Jin Do-jun under the bus that I was like, this is the only person who supported you. And it's very clear that he is more motivated by fear than by kindness and self kind of confidence. He's much more driven by self-preservation. So when he thinks that his career is in threat, he crumbles. And it's not unexpected, but it happened so quickly. When Jin Do-jun went to him and was making this bargain, I do believe he's using him as a pawn. I don't think that he's very attached to his uncle. And I mean, again, understandable. This is somebody who is married to a very wicked person. Even if he's trying to do the right thing, I think he knows he's not reliable. And so he has to, as he puts it, sedate him. The exact line was, it's like I prescribed him a sedative. I had to bind him with a greater ambition to get rid of his fear.
Yeah.
Such a good line. There are so many great quotes in the show. Like, it's one of the most quotable shows I have come across in a long time. Great work by the translators on that way, in that way, but also just a really, really well-written cast of characters, because it's so true. This is a guy who, unattended, will just fall victim to anything. It's almost like Jin Do-jun has to stay on top of him at all times and keep feeding him these grand ambitions, being like, do not fear them, you hold the power, or he'll just go back to his old self. Even at that dinner, he wants to appear as a mayor, and he goes up and like shakes the hands and is like patting them on the shoulder and stuff. You're still holding the purse. You still didn't give her the purse. And so until he can overcome that hurdle, it's just going to keep happening. In the grand scheme of things, if this is your typical Korean drama feel-good ending, he will become the president. More likely, if I had to make a prediction, it's not going to happen. And most of the family is going to end up in a not-so-great place.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I don't think he's going to become president. I think he's going to get kicked out of being mayor, too. Very likely.
Yeah, I mean, he's gonna cross the wrong person. Jin Do-jun is going to have to make a sacrifice. He's gone.
Yeah, as much as I don't want to see his downfall, I think it is inevitable with him being tied to Soo Young. But I don't know, like in that moment when he looked like he was kind of throwing Jin Do-jun on the bus, I'm really hoping that like in the later episodes we'll see that because he knows that Jin Do-jun gave him confidence and had his back, he kind of did the same thing in that situation, kind of feeding lies to 1-1 instead of Jin Do-jun. But
Gotcha.
I'm just hopeful, man. I just want to see the downfall of corrupt people.
I think he will have his back at some point. I was just disappointed to see it go so quickly, because Jin Do-jun, unless this is another one of those ones where we have the unreliable narrator,
Probably.
he genuinely was at a loss in that moment, being like, okay, I need to rethink this situation. All of the cable networks are pulling out now. He is going to give the contract that I handed to him to Seo Min Young. And so I was hurt in that moment. I
feel like that was also like a heads up type of thing.
It was. No, he was telling him without telling him that he was with 1-1 right now, and this is going to happen. He was giving him the opportunity. Because he also said, as I will need one, and it was only one, I will need one cable network signed on for a property before I give you the contract. So it was an act of kindness, but it was, look, this is one of those relationships where I just want to see it develop, because I want to see two nice people be together, okay?
It's a K-drama. We don't get what we want sometimes.
I know, but in the better way. They're giving us what we really want, which is lots of drama.
Dude, I just want chaos. I want to see their world burn. I want tears and crying and fighting and screaming. Like this is not the typical lovey-dovey K-drama. But if
No,
you're
it's
going
true.
to be a typical K-drama, I need the...
You need the drama.
I just need the chaos.
Oh my goodness. Well, speaking of chaos and romance all in one.
No!
Yes, Seo Min Young made another appearance in this episode. I'm happy with how this one played out, even if it was, your typical cliche. I was happier with how it went. She was not embarrassed this time. In fact, they didn't even interact this episode. So he shows up at the... Well, here's the worst part. So after he meets up with One's soon-to-be wife and denies her, he turns her down, which he did in a very good way. But he's feeling lost in that moment. He's feeling depressed because he realizes he's in a bind. He's going to have to turn... Well, he doesn't even know his father's going to help him out. His father saves him. He's lost. So what does he do? In that moment when he found out that he's not going to be marrying this woman, he goes to Seo Min Young. He goes to the cafe, and he's like, is she not here tonight? And they're like, well, actually, she quit. She's going to be studying to take the bar exam because everyone in her family has managed to pass while they're still in school.
Yes.
She's not there. And he takes all of the stack of saved up cards and he hands them over. And she's like, you can get a free drink. You don't want these?
And he says, no, there will not be a next time.
Yeah, straight up. I'm not going to support your business. I don't need you. I came here for the girl. Way to go, man. Way to go.
Dude, I feel like they're pushing this relationship so hard for no reason because there's absolutely no connection. We've only seen them interact a handful of times, and even then it was just kind of like a little bit of flirting, I guess.
Yeah.
Maybe he just thinks she's super cute.
No, what?
She thinks he's super good looking, right?
We think 1 is bad at flirting. He is even worse at flirting. Like 1 at least makes an attempt. This guy's whole strategy is, I will be in your presence. Date me. That's it.
At least he has his good looks, man.
1 is good looking too.
He is not Song Joong-ki.
Okay, no, he's not. Did you hear? I just want to point out to anybody listening. Did you hear the defensiveness in that moment from Qomi? He
What?
is
It's true.
not
Is it
Song
not?
Joong-ki.
Yo, am I not right?
I'm not saying that. I like how loyal you are to him. But okay. So I'm 100% with you because it does feel like they're pushing it without backing it up. If they want it to come across like this is somebody that he really wants to be with and she wants to be with, I don't need them to get along, but we need moments of them actually being together. Every episode past the first episode, we have seen them interact once per episode, and it has never, ever been longer than 5 minutes or been a fruitful conversation. It's always one person calling out the other person and then getting fed up and leaving. It has never been like, I'm all for the will they, won't they? I am all for the enemies to lovers tropes. All of these things I am on board for, but they've got to commit to one and give them the screen time and the build up to get there.
Yes.
Exactly that. And that's why I was kind of hoping that we would get that this episode. Not so much. He goes by. She's not there. She ends up showing up to hand over the key that she still had to the cafe.
Yeah,
and
on
unfortunately,
the same night
I
that
know.
he just so happens to randomly be there. I hate K-dramas when they do this. But
No,
I know
love
it's a
K-dramas
K-drama.
when they do this.
Bro, it's so...
I love it. Look, we don't know how long it's been. Maybe that was only like 2 days afterwards. It could have been.
She literally says, yo, he was just here like 5 minutes ago.
Yeah, no, I realize. I'm saying, like, we don't know how long after she quit. Like, it could have been the day after. Oh, you didn't hear? She didn't tell you? She already quit. She quit 2 days ago. She could have been, this is her dad. I'm willing to let that go because they didn't run into each other. If they had run into each other right then, that would be pushing the boundaries. But they didn't. They managed to avoid the cliche.
Oh, okay. I could tell you exactly what's gonna happen if they ran into each other.
Okay.
He sees her. She sees him. They're
Yep.
staring at each other down the street. Aerial view, side view, solo close up, other solo close up.
They stand
medium
there for
close-up,
5 minutes.
medium close up. Yeah, just
Slow
staring
motion.
at each other. Yeah.
Wait,
and
no.
then
He starts going towards her.
Yes.
And then she starts going towards him. And just as they do, a cat runs in front of her and she trips and she falls. And in slow motion, he catches her. And then he's looking down at her. And she's like, what are you doing? He's like, oh no. And then he gets back up and he brushes her off. And then they stare at each other. And then Qomi, aerial view. And then solo shot. And then like it just keeps going. But we managed to avoid it. We didn't get that.
We got it in the car view, street view, close-up view, close-up in the car view, another perspective where you see him in the car and her standing on the street, but they won't ever see each other view.
I've grown to love it. The one thing that I don't like is when shows and movies do slow motion that's not shot at a high frame rate. Like, it's still like jittery. It's like they shot it at 24 frames and then they make it 12 frames. Why? You have the ability. You have the ability to shoot it at 60 and bring it down. Like, it will still look super smooth. It'll look great. I know it's a dramatic effect thing. Not a fan. But I like the multiple camera angles. I'm on board with it. I want to see when an explosion goes off. I want my 20 shots. Not in everything. Only in Korean dramas. I'm here for it. I love that stuff at this point. It's like a stylistic choice. So into it.
I know. It's it's the K-drama type of
Final
sequence,
shot of the episode. You know they're going to end on a freeze frame. You have to then show everything that happened in still frames. That's just how it has to be.
Dude, you know I actively skip these moments when I know that they're going to do multiple cameras. I skip it and I press the arrow key like 4 times and we're still in the same scene, man. That's how you know it's way too long. 40 seconds of just staring at their faces. I know Song Joong-ki and Seo Min Young. Sorry, I don't know the actor's name. But they are very good-looking people. But I don't need to keep staring at them for 40 seconds.
I do. I
Tell
want
me
to
the
stare
story.
them in the eyes. I want to know everything in their soul in that moment. I need to know that they feel longing and that without this moment of them staring at each other, they will never... Okay, well, that's the problem. We haven't gotten them staring at each other. All we've gotten is them yelling at each other.
All they do is yell at each other and stare at each other.
They don't do enough staring. They do too much yelling.
They do too much staring because that's all they do. She's like, oh, like, did you not come here for me? And he stares at her. He's like, oh, I came here for coffee. And then she stares at him. What?
No,
You just came for the stamp cards?
It does not go like that. It's like, why did you come if not for me? Well, I came here for coffee. And then she goes and stares at him. And then there's tension. You're leaving out the tension.
There is no tension.
All right. Anybody who's listening to this right now, please let us know down in the comments where you fall. Do you like the long shots of the actors staring at each other?
We're not even arguing about that. I'm arguing that they have no tension, so therefore they shouldn't be staring at each other for that long.
No, I'm with you. I'm saying in most K-dramas, I love the long, multiple camera angles and shots. In this one, all we need is for them to have one good episode where they build up the chemistry, the relationship, and then I want all the camera angles, all the long shots. I want the staring in the eyes. That's what I want.
Dude,
let us know where you fall.
Just burned for me.
Tell me that Seo Min Young and him need that scene. Tell me they need the camera angles.
I will not support their relationship any further. You have given us 7 episodes of nothing in their relationship.
We still have like 9 episodes to go. There's still so much time. There's so much time.
How does this guy have enough time to even attend school with all his scheming on the side, huh? He is at Miracle Investments 90% of the time. You're telling me he has enough time to be in school and be the top law student in his grade or whatever?
That's why he has what's our character's name?
Rachel?
The SNS, yeah, Rachel. Thank you. So that's why he has Rachel and Mr. O. They handle all that stuff, and he's just there to make the big decisions. You know, he's a part-timer. Plus, he's a genius. He's the top law student. He's breezing through these classes.
No. I will accept the fact that he is smart. He is not a genius. He does not have enough time for school. He does not have enough time for Seo Min Young. Okay, like You have somehow tilted me so far. I don't even know how we got here.
I know. Okay, let's shift. Seo Min Young, We will deal with you next week. Okay, so Mr. O. While we're on the topic of Miracle Investments, Mr. O played another important role. He had a few nuggets of wisdom this week that I feel like we should talk about. The first one is a really, really funny quote where he basically calls out Jin Do-jun saying, what was it exactly? If I rip off that 22-year-old mask, I'll find a 40-year-old man. Or is this your second life? Like,
yes, that was amazing.
He's basically being like, you are way too wise for how good looking and young you are.
Dude, it's true though. He has the looks, he has the brains. It's just not fair.
No, it's not fair. And they call it out a lot. Like Song Joong-ki, his ego is not hurting in this show. For good reason. He's a very good looking man. But it was a really funny line. More importantly, though, when Do-jun is kind of suffering from a poor choice of going all in on cable networks, trying to build New Seoul Town into this future paradise of technology, they look around and Mr. O and him are up on the top of this building looking at basically the landscape of South Korea. And he says, why would South Korea become a leader in technology? If you look at all of the signposts, that's your cheat sheet. The cheat sheet is internet cafes. Right now, nobody has PCs at home. They're not using the internet in their home. Why would this country become a leader? And he says that's why you should get out. That is what's telling you to get out. But Jin Do-jun reads it a different way because, of course, he has the foresight of the future.
Yeah.
He knows that the internet is the future in South Korea, and he also knows that esports are the future in South Korea. For those who may not know, if you're like me and have not lived in South Korea, one of the major things in the late 90s and early 2000s for South Korea was esports in StarCraft and a couple other games. They dominated that scene. Up until basically this last decade, they were almost the sole player for a lot of these major games, as in they just dominated. Top 5, 10 players in the world for any given esports game. So for him to make this call, it's one of those things early on in the episode when the cable network thing happened, I knew where it was going. I was like, oh, right. I even wrote down in my notes when I was watching the show, I was like, it's going to be the internet, esports, and new media. And exactly that. He looks around and he goes, okay, I know what I'm going to do. And he goes after esports companies. So when this all plays out, Mr. O gave him the idea. It's this important scene. But Qomi, this is interesting because esports is everywhere else a fairly new concept. I didn't really start hearing the term esports until a few years ago when it really blew up with like Overwatch, League, Valorant. Like there's a few that are known as esports now. Do you think that Mr. O would get this and get on board with this back in the 1990s? Like this feels like so future.
I feel like I can't really discuss much on this topic specifically because I feel like you also had the insight of Jin Do-jun where you knew where it was going. Like you knew that they were going to be talking about the internet.
Yeah.
Because you're old.
I'm old and I'm a giant nerd. Yes.
Yeah, when he was talking about that, I was just like, oh yeah, PC bangs, like that's huge in Korea. Yeah. That's it.
Oh, that's as far. Okay. All right.
I was thinking too, like, yeah, the internet, but I didn't know how far they were gonna go with it. And when they said esports, I was like, they already start talking about esports that early. Like, because I feel like right now we're in
like 97-ish, right?
I don't think so. I think it's 2000. It was enough.
Are we up at that point now?
IMF already. Yeah, the IMF happened in 1999 or something.
Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right.
Yeah, so it's what 2000, 2001 now, maybe 2000.
So in that way, then absolutely, we are in the era of Warcraft, Starcraft. I'm trying to think of the other major esports at that time, but we would be coming up on the period of like Counter-Strike in the near future, or there's some other ones over in Asia. I can't remember its name.
Maple
Fire or
Story.
something. Sure, Maple Story, absolutely, one of the biggest games of all time, undoubtedly. So you have all these games up and coming at this point. But I guess also what this points out is Jin Do-jun is able to kind of marry what he knows about the future with ideas, because once they get this idea of esports, they're able to go, okay, we can get internet companies on board, we can get esports on companies on board. They will not have to rely on advertisers. They actually had to kind of talk them through it and be like, okay, well, on top of advertising, we don't need to solely rely on that. We can do subscription models. And that's something that a lot of game developers and publishers are only now realizing. For them to be on top of it in that way is really interesting. Again, they've clearly done their research. The writers of the show have clearly done their research. It was a really interesting moment that, for me, played a big part. For a lot of other people, didn't, just because of the historical significance. I get this. This is one of those moments where I was like, okay, I finally know one of these references. I don't know a lot about the IMF. I don't know about New Soul Town in the way that it connected with you. But for me, it was like, oh my goodness, okay, here's a piece of history that I can kind of tap into. And so it was really, really interesting for me personally.
I totally didn't understand, or like not understand. I didn't expect what was going to happen. Because I totally didn't think that esports was that prominent in that era, that time of year.
It's one of those things where it's kind of hard to wrap our head around how far South Korea is in terms of technology in a lot of ways. Here in Canada, even in major cities, connectivity for internet and stuff, very slow. You have to pay a lot of money to get a download and upload rate that is able to handle more than just simple Netflix. Like 4K for a lot of people is still not a reality. It's just not possible to stream that sort of stuff. Gigabit internet is so far off for a lot of people. And, in smaller places across the country, forget it. It's just never going to happen.
Yeah.
In Korea, it's just like expected that everywhere has Wi-Fi connection.
Yeah.
At least from what I've heard. I mean, you would know.
But in Canada, oh my gosh, you walk into a store, that quarter, suddenly your phone doesn't even work anymore.
Yeah, yeah.
What the heck?
There were entire parts. Like, I lived in a major city for a few years, and I would be taking the subway outdoors, not even the underground parts of the subway, and I would be losing connection outdoors. And it would... What? Mm-hmm. What? So it's a very different reality. And even for them back then, you can tell the phones that they're using are far ahead of what we had, especially like when we jumped ahead into the 90s and we see like 96 or 97, they had nice phones. I remember my dad had a car that had a car phone, and I thought that was far ahead of the times.
Wait, what?
A car phone. So it wasn't a cell phone. It was actually connected to the car, and so you could pick it up and call, and it was so weird. I don't really remember us using it, but because I think you had to pay for, a connection, but it was that thing of like, wow, we have a car that has a phone. We can call somebody from anywhere. That was like a mind-boggling thing. Whereas in South Korea, they were already using very sleek flip phones and all of that stuff. So
yeah, wait, what the heck? I've never heard of a car phone, dude. What
we'll
year
look it
are
up.
You from?
Let's not talk about it. All right. This brings us to our final point of the episode, the thing that leaves us off, and it's a big one because there's always a cliffhanger. And this isn't like a massive one that's going to make you tune into the next episode. I feel like there's 10 things that are going to make me tune into the next episode. But this is one that's going to have ramifications for, decisions that the chairman is going to make, because we see him sitting in one of his old vehicles on his own, looking at brain scans. And we find out that he has a brain tumor. And it is one that is very hard to operate on. And as he says, I have something in my head that is essentially a ticking time bomb.
Yes.
What did you make of this scene? And do you think this is something that we knew was inevitably going to happen because we know he eventually passes away? Or is this something that we saw further down the line?
I am not surprised at it, but also I didn't expect it, but I'm not surprised. I feel like this is a very typical drama trope in any type of dramas where you just kind of throw it. It's almost as typical as someone getting hit by a car in dramas type of thing. Like,
Gotcha.
Hit with the brain tumor. And I'm like, oh, yeah. Well, okay.
It makes sense, right? Like, it's a good way to ramp up the tension. He now has a limited amount of time, and there's a lot of pressure for him to find his successor. It's no longer, okay, eventually I'll find it and they'll all be of age, blah, blah, blah. No, he now has, well, he doesn't know how long. He just knows he has a limited amount of time. He has to pass things on. He has to leave the company in good stead. He has to make his relationships right. Whatever is important to him, he now has to do quickly.
Yeah, I guess it was also never mentioned when or how he died, which
Yep.
good on the storytellers, I guess, because they could legit throw anything our way and we have to accept that's how he dies. And I guess it's just from this brain tumor now.
It could be. We don't know. Who knows? Maybe it could be something else. We think they give him,
Maybe it's
let's say,
operable.
6 months, and then
Yeah.
one day, truck.
Oh, yeah, it doesn't have to be the brain tumor that gets him
No.
out. Because, yeah, what if somehow he's like, okay, I'll bite the bullet, take it out, and it gets taken out. And then, yeah, he walks out the hospital, gets hit by a car. Like, who knows? It's just a drama.
What if he's reborn?
As who this time, though?
Well, that's the thing. I feel like we let this slide a lot. Of the concept of the show is that he is reborn into this family,
Yeah.
and he knows it happened, but everyone else maybe jokes about, how do you know about the future? They've never addressed it. Like, they've never, since the second episode where he sees his old self, he took over this body when he was already like 8 or 9 years old.
11.
What? Oh, sorry. Okay, there you go. 11. Where the heck is the kid who
I think,
was
sorry.
them until they were 11?
Right? That's what I said in the very beginning. Yo, he
I
just
know.
suddenly has like a personality change and he's a different person type of thing.
What happened to that kid? Has anybody else been reborn? Is this like a family trait? What happened?
You can't think about that far in isekai. It's only the main character that gets
I know,
teleported to a new world.
but what if? What if?
No.
Okay,
No,
all
no,
right.
no. That is a too deep of a rabbit hole, and we will never get out of it if we keep
Darn.
going in.
You know, I love those rabbit holes. But with the chairman, he now has this ticking time bomb. Do you think this is going to make him, much like I said, Jindo Jun? I think now that he has this revenge that he's going after, I think he's going to be a lot more aggressive. Do you think the chairman's kind of the same way? He really is going to push 1-1 because of this?
Yeah, I can see it being his driving force because he needs to secure the throne, right? He has to make
Right.
sure that whoever comes after him is going to take over and will succeed. But at the same time, he's such a major character in this show that I can't foresee him departing so soon. Like, I feel
No.
like we still have at least a couple episodes, like even maybe until episode 10 or something. Like, I can't see him leaving halfway through the show has even finished yet.
No,
because
I think
so
12.
much surrounds him. Yeah.
Episode 12 would be my guess because, okay, so we're on episode 7 now. By the time we're at 10, I think that's our peak in terms of the warfare between either 1-1 or him. And then we're going to deal with the fallout and more of the family issues up until 12. He passes away. Now it's the feud. And I think the last 2 episodes, if I'm predicting, because again, none of these have come out. We haven't watched Beyond 7 at this point. If I'm predicting, the last 2 episodes are going to be dealing with his past life.
The last few episodes?
2. I think we're going to go
Oh,
15,
okay.
16. And I think the last 2 episodes are going to be basically, maybe even just the last episode, but wrapping things up of, okay, we actually find out who killed him, what happened, that sort of stuff. But I think episode 12 would be my guess. That's when the chairman is departing.
Yeah, I can accept around that as well, just because he's
10
just
to
too...
12-ish.
10 to 12ish. He's too important to just drop dead right now. But who knows? Maybe we'll get thrown a surprise and he actually drops dead the next episode.
That would be wild.
Dude, if they actually pulled that...
I respect shows that do that, where you have like a protagonist and then in like the 6th episode, they're just killed off and you're like, sometimes it works out for the best, sometimes it doesn't. I really think he adds so much to the show, and I think the actor is just phenomenal. I think he is so strong, and I want to see him in more stuff. So subtle. He knows how to, again, flip that switch so quickly and not have it feel like all of a sudden he's just shouting for no reason. It's like I can understand his character in that moment, that he is truly feeling that way. So I don't want to see him go, but I'm interested to see what the eventual fallout will be.
Yeah, we're only on episode 7, so there's still like a good chunk to go through.
Absolutely. Absolutely. With that being said, it's now time for good or bad. If you don't know, this is the segment of the show where we quickly do rapid fire questions. I'm going to throw, I think I have 5 this week. So, Qomi, you are going to have to tell me whether something is good or bad. Are you ready?
Yeah, let's go.
All right. 3, 2, 1. Shopping channels, good or bad?
Bad.
Esports, good or bad?
Good.
This episode's donuts, good or bad?
Bad. Why do they
bad.
look like that? Oh my gosh.
Internet cafes, good or bad?
Good, but I've never been in one.
We will have to fix this. 1-1's proposal, good or bad?
You know what? I'll give it a good.
What?
But
What?
we'll elaborate after that.
Okay,
Your
that's
final
it.
question?
That's it.
Oh. I was giving it good because it was entertaining to watch, and it was efficient. They didn't even date. She sees him as a puppet, but he already had a ring out for her, you know? And I was like, okay, man, you do you. That's what you want in life. Like, go get it. Like, go for her.
How does that Beyonce song go?
If you like it, then you should have put a ring on it or something.
He took that advice to heart.
Dude, he was rejected and still bought a ring. Like, I do not understand, but you know what? Efficiency. That's how rich
Efficiency.
people breed? Okay.
Efficiency.
Yeah.
That's what we should call him. He is. What's the term for an heir? Like a rich heir? There's a term for it in Korean.
Chaebol?
Yeah. I say it one more time.
Chaebol?
Chaebol?
Yeah.
Somewhat. I'm messing it up, but that's their efficiency. That's the level of efficiency I wish I could live with. All right, we are wrapping things up, but we have 2 last things. One, I want to call out a wonderful YouTube comment that we got. This comes from Knight. They say, hope you two create a Patreon and create a live reaction of K-drama series. This is just a really sweet comment that I want to thank you for sending, because that is super sweet. That's the dream one day. We have literally, this is only our 6th episode on the entire channel, so we're definitely not at that point yet. But one day down the line, that is of course the dream. We would love to do reactions and create lots of content, way more videos, because these are more analysis. But I just wanted to call that out.
Yeah, thank you so much. I was not having such a great day, and then CB here let me know that there was a few comments, and I was like, oh my gosh, and it totally brightened up my entire day. So thank you so much.
It has actually blown us away. Not only the number of views that this has gotten. We were talking before, and it's like we thought this would get 10, maybe 12 views total, and some of those would just be people we know.
Yeah.
And so the fact that anybody has watched this and takes the time to comment absolutely blows us away. Qomi,
Thank you.
we are now ready to wrap up the episode. This will be our review. If you had to review this episode out of 5 stars, what would you give it?
There's so much that happened.
So much.
I think I'll just go with a 3.5.
Okay.
I can't decide between 3.5 or 4. I enjoyed it. Somewhere between there.
Okay.
You just have to accept it.
Yeah, that's okay. That's okay. I'm going to go with a 4. I think this was as strong as the last episode. I don't think the ending is as strong with the reveal, but I think there's so much in this episode that still leaves me like, I need to know what happens next episode. This is a 4 for me. Very, very strong. This series continues to get better and better as it goes along. And that's all you ever want in a show is like, first episode, I had a lot of mixed feelings. Second episode, I was like, oh, it's a little bit better, but we don't have Song Joong Ki. Third episode, I was like, okay, we're on the right track. 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th. Every episode has been stronger than the last. I'm so, so excited for where this is going to go. But that's going to be it for this week. This has been our review analysis of Reborn Rich. We will be back with episode 8 in just a few days. I'm very, very excited for this. Qomi, thank you for joining me for this episode.
No, you.
How dare. Of course, if you are watching this, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. It actually helps us out a ton. Every single subscription just, again, makes our day. So thank you guys for taking the time to watch. We will see you on the next episode.
Thank you so much. For listeners who aren't watching, finger hearts for you. Do it.
Bye.
Bye.